How sweet it is, everybody. BYU gets it done. It's a bit nerve-wracking, but in the end, BYU punches their ticket to the Sweet 16. We're talking about all of it on Postcast.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And as always, thank you for being everydayers with us right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. BYU gets it done, 91-89 winners over the Wisconsin Badgers. And that was a crazy game, everybody. It had everything. BYU elite offense, dubious officiating, ruining the perfect record that the Big Ten had going into that game. This game had it all. But the biggest point to be taken home, BYU punches their ticket to the Sweet 16 for the first time since Jimmer Fredette was roaming the BYU backcourt 14 years ago. I've said this before. I'll say it again. For some context, yours truly, the last time BYU made the Sweet 16 in 2011, I was in college at BYU working with Greg Wrubell as an intern on said BYU basketball broadcast 14 years ago. It's crazy to consider how long it's been, but also feels like yesterday. But the nice part is a number of you, and you guys know who you are out there if you're watching this podcast. I could take multiple minutes to name all y'all who have said this BYU team is different. That's the quote it's been. This team is different is the quote. They're absolutely different. The last two times BYU punched their ticket to the Sweet 16, going all the way back to 1981 and obviously 30 years later in 2011, the two times before this BYU made the Sweet 16, they had the National Player of the Year playing for them, that being in Danny Ainge in 1981 and Jimmer Fredette in 2011. BYU doesn't have that on this year's team, but what they do have is 11 guys who believe in every bit of what they're doing right now as a team. And they're just showing time and time again that they are different. And they are the sum total of their parts is more than enough. I'm not afraid of Bama. I'm not afraid of St. Mary's. We'll find out who they play in the Sweet 16 tomorrow because the Crimson Tide and the Gales will play. I think it was at 4:00, if I recall correctly. I'd have to look that up. I'll look it up in a minute. But what a win. What a win for the BYU Cougars. This team is showing just absolute stones out there. Clint McKinley, Sweet 16, baby. Richie for president. Landrick, Yahoo, 16. Yeah, they're headed to the Sweet 16. This is big time. And by the way, Kevin Young, he's in his infancy as a head coach. Think about this. As a rookie head coach, he has engineered an upset now for BYU because it's a 6-3, so it is an upset. And BYU is headed to the Sweet 16 in his first year as BYU basketball head coach. And oh, by the way, he has the #1 rated recruit in the entire country coming to BYU next year. He has delivered more than he could have ever hoped to have delivered, I think, in his heart of hearts, his first year at BYU. But he's absolutely awesome. Phillips, such a sweet stack. Absolutely. It's just the thing is, we're watching this BYU team show yet again that they are a force to be reckoned with. I absolutely love the way that this team plays. And the nice part is they have continued to show that this 11-man rotation, 10-man, whatever you want to term it, it works. Very few teams are able to operate the way that BYU operates, but it's a credit to guys like Kevin Young who have kept these guys engaged, kept them all working together. The assistant coaches obviously deserve some credit as well for their work with each of these players, but more importantly, the players themselves. They deserve so much of the credit for what's going on here, and it's absolutely incredible to watch what's unfolding before our very eyes. You look at the stat sheets. BYU withstood a 37-point onslaught from John Tonje. I'm going to say it right now. John Tonje is one of the three, maybe he's at least at worst the third best player BYU's faced this year. I would say right now, and I know this is like moments after this game went final, but I would say he is, in my mind, the best individual player BYU's faced all year. He was absolutely phenomenal. 10 of 18, 14 of 16 from the line. Yes, he did kick out a couple of times on threes. So be it. He still scored 37 points. You got to give him credit. John Blackwell from Wisconsin, his running mate, 21 points. So they combined for 58 points. but it didn't matter. BYU did the dang thing and is through to the Sweet 16. This is historic stuff. And it's absolutely incredible to think about where this BYU team was just 2 months ago. Go back. Okay, we're in the middle of March. We're getting towards the tail end of March, but think about 2 months ago, January 22nd, this BYU team was nowhere near this level. Kevin Young said it at the halftime of UCF. They walked into that locker room. He said that things changed halftime of our road game at UCF. And I was left wondering, well, what happened against UCF? And then Trevin Nell revealed that in that locker room meeting at halftime of UCF, Kevin Young said, teams like to think they can punk BYU. And from that point on, remember, BYU shortly thereafter got the win against West Virginia and then just absolutely went on a roll. 9 straight wins. Obviously, the loss that they had in the Big 12 tournament against Houston. And outside of that, it's been nothing but winning for BYU. And Kevin said it. I remember which game it was after. We're no longer the teams being punked. We're now punking people. And that's what this BYU team is doing. And yes, this game, it got hairy down the stretch. It was a 12-2 run after we saw Dawson Baker get ejected. Okay. With the way they're describing the rule, I get where they came from in terms of giving him the flagrant 2 foul. You're not supposed to hit guys in the down belows. We get all that. Was it egregious? Was it intentional? No, it wasn't. But I guess based on the way the rule is written, the letter of the law, okay, so be it. You deal with it and you move along. And it sucks for Dawson Baker. He had to sit in that locker room while his teammates finished off an absolutely phenomenal victory. And he has to wait until they come back to the locker room to celebrate with them. That's the thing about this, is it's disappointing in that regard. But all things considered, what a marvelous, marvelous win for the BYU Cougars. And now they're headed to the Sweet 16. And this is a good point from Reese Robbins here. Most points against Wisconsin all year. Well, guess what they did the previous game? Most points against VCU all year. 80 against VCU, 91 here against Wisconsin. This BYU team keeps leveling up, and they are an absolute force to be reckoned with. I can't count anything out for this BYU squad right now. Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, someplace they've never been. They've only been to the Elite 8. We all know that in 1981 with Danny Ainge. But this BYU team, can we count them out of anything right now? I don't think you can. Now, we'll see what happens tomorrow with Bama and St. Mary's. There's obviously Bama, a very strong team out of the SEC. There's that long tortured history from the West Coast Conference era for BYU against the likes of St. Mary's. I'm not scared of either of them right now. This BYU team, they know how to play basketball in their own style, and they just do it. And that's the thing about this. All those texts kept it really close from Joshua Taylor. The officiating was awful. And the best part about awful officiating, and it was objectively, like, those calls, they should be ashamed of themselves, some of these calls that were being made in this game. And they're egregious, awful. But the best part about dubious, horrendous officiating is when you overcome all of it when you win the proverbial 5 versus 8 in basketball. And that's exactly what BYU did. Craig G, refs were so biased, it's crazy. First time I was able to watch live, Jake. I love the show. Jonathan Ashcroft. Jonathan, thank you for tuning in, man. This is absolutely a win that you can't spin it any other way than BYU did their thing. It wasn't gifted to them. Mawit Mag played incredible defense on John Tonje on that final possession. He was in position, completely vertical. I know John Tonje was looking pretty like, whoa, where's the foul call? Mawit Mag played lights out defense on that final possession and did exactly what you wanted to see. And right. Brother, BYU just won a 5v8 game. Momentum switch after Dawson got kicked out of the game. Shows composure from coach to pull out that win. He called great timeouts to get the right plays called. You're right. They did. By the way, big credit to Kevin Young. He is really, really elite at in-game adjustments. It's awesome to watch what he is doing out there. But this BYU team, against all odds, handled their business and gets the dub and is through to the Sweet 16. I think this is fun. I don't know what else to really talk about other than just to celebrate the fact that BYU won this game, shot it very, very well, 49.2% from the field, 46.2% from 3, 12 of 26 from beyond the arc. More importantly, 15 of 16 from the charity stripe, 93.8%. You only missed 1 free throw all game long. Turnovers, 11. Rebounds, 41 against 32. And any of you who watched our edition we did on Friday, So yesterday, with Ryan Herrings from Locked On Badgers, he talked about the fact that BYU was going to be able to get to the rim because he didn't think there was much rim protection from the 7-footers that Wisconsin had, and we all saw it. I think BYU got out to, it was like 34 points, and 18 of them had come inside the paint. This is a really, really impressive team because they don't have to rely on the three. Remember last year, Mark Pope's team last year, it was live by the three, die by the three, like the epitome of all that. I know that the monikers carried over to this year because BYU still likes to shoot a high volume of threes, but they only shot 26 tonight. They made 12 of them. That's very manageable numbers. And in a game like this, when Wisconsin wants to fire away from deep, they were 12 of 35. Yeah, both teams ready to fire away. But I really, really enjoyed the way the BYU played this game. They realized, hey, you know what? They got 7-footers, but they're stiffs. They can't protect the rim. We're going to the rim with impunity. We saw Richie Saunders. He had like 8 points, and it feels like in the first 4 minutes by going to the rim time and time and time again. Keba Keita, block party down the stretch, had some really, really impressive buckets. They tried the Hakaketa method, and Kevin Young, to his credit, realized it and said, no, we ain't screwing with that, and yanked him from the game and put Foose out there. It's awesome to watch. Locked On Kansas State. Yeah, here's the best point. Christian, you're the man. Big 12, now 9-1. Put some respect on the Big 12 Conference's name, everybody. We get downgraded so much in the national media, speaking of the Big 12 from a conference perspective. Yeah, give some respect to the Big 12. I told you BYU's going deep. Christian, you've been saying it to me, and I've been over here like gnawing on my fingernails, just worried about what's happening. But the thing is, this is a really, really impressive victory for BYU. Shows that they can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. I'm telling you, the officiating at times, yeah, it felt like they were trying to yank it away from BYU, but there's no better feeling when you're getting jobbed, you feel like, by the officials. And we saw some of the frustration from BYU players very visibly. Halftime interview with Richie Saunders. He used the term interesting. That was the best PG answer he could probably give in that circumstance. But the best part is when you feel like you're getting jobbed by the officials, go out there and take it out of their hands. Refuse to let them steal it from you. And credit to Mawit Mag, that final possession. It was picture perfect defense in my mind. He stands there. You're trying to get, John Tonje's trying to get position on him. He just goes straight vertical, hands straight up, and does not allow him to get any good look at that. It's really, really fun to watch this BYU team do what they do. They're better than they are credited for defensively. I know the metrics downgrade them a bit, but I really like the way this BYU team is operating right now. They can score in a myriad of ways with the 11-man rotation. It doesn't matter who's on the court. There's seemingly weapons all over the place. If you're a Wisconsin player, you got to be thinking, how in the world did they have that many guys? But it's a credit to what Kevin Young has done. He has kept guys engaged on this team. One of the great stories, I'm going to use this real quick before we wrap up here. One of the great stories on this team, I don't think we talk enough about, is the contributions from a Trey Stewart. Trey Stewart had his hiney glued to the bench at BYU for the past 3.5 years, essentially. Just never really was able to carve out a role for himself. What has he done in the final half of his senior year? He has become this clutch shooter and a really above average defender. That is an incredible story, and it's a credit to Kevin Young, realizing what a guy like Trey Stewart could offer to this team, and then working him in and allowing Trey to seize the opportunity. And to Trey's credit, he seizes that and runs away with it. Swing savvy. The soccer game's going great. Obviously, I worked on some RSL games with radio. Was tracking that alongside this BYU game, but it's just okay. Here we go. Just not interested. I'm a BYU fan. I think the refs were fair. Not a popular opinion, obviously, but I think they did a fair job to keep both teams fairly clean. No. Sorry. Here's the thing about college basketball officiating. Those of you who are longtime listeners know I say this often. College basketball officiating is a scourge. It's a blight on the sport. It ruins the sport. How many personal fouls? We had 22 for BYU, 16 for Wisconsin. We had 38 fouls in a 40-minute game. Nearly 1 per minute. Nah, that's too stop-start for my liking. I like basketball to flow. Sadly, it doesn't get flowed. Technical foul for pointing at the scoreboard. That's a good point. Mawit Mag did get dinged for pointing at the scoreboard. The officials, they get butt hurt way too easy in college basketball, and it's the refs show. It's like, you're not going to show me up. I'll show you up. Here's a technical foul. Now, they also gave a technical foul to the Wisconsin bench. So be it. I look at this and say that is a BYU win, that it is one that's going to be talked about for quite a while. Because once again, it's the third time in about 50 years, going back to 1981. So 40, do the math. Yeah, 44 years. Third time BYU's punched their ticket to the Sweet 16. It doesn't happen very often. So celebrate the win. This is absolutely awesome to see this. This is also a very good point from Matthew Stutzman. Wisconsin never had the league great start, and we, speaking of BYU, responded to every Wisconsin punch. My wife came downstairs as I was watching the game, and she said, "Hey, has BYU been leading this whole time?" I'm like, "Yeah, they've just kind of kept them at an arm's distance all game long until they really made that final push, the 12-2 run, the John Tonje show, I guess I'll call it, down the stretch." It was really cool to see BYU say, "Okay, yeah, you throw your haymaker. Okay, we're going to throw a couple back at you." That's this BYU team's MO right now. They did it against VCU. They kept VCU at an arm's distance all game long. And outside of that final stanza, the final 3 minutes and change here against Wisconsin, same thing against 13th ranked Wisconsin Badgers squad. So really, really fun win. And the nice part is we're now looking at a chance to play for an Elite Eight bid against either Alabama or St. Mary's, and two very different styles of teams. Speaking of Alabama and St. Mary's, St. Mary's is the consummate Randy Bennett, hard edge rebounding team. They're the best, I think, rebounding margin team in all of college basketball this year. And they'll play the edge that we all know about St. Mary's with from that West Coast Conference era. They play hard, borderline dirty, but also Alabama. Bama's more in the mold of Wisconsin. High scoring, high flying offense. Nate Oates has done a really good job with that squad. So should be an interesting game tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. And okay. All right, Al De La Cruz. If BYU goes to the Final Four, I will stuff every tater tot in a 16-ounce bag of Ore-Ida in my mouth. Okay, Al, here's a recommendation. Don't do it frozen. You got to cook them and try and mash them all in there when they're cooked, because, frozen's going to be a little different. Arthur asked this, would you rather play St. Mary's or Bama? Man, such a tortured history against St. Mary's, and the way that St. Mary's plays, it would be kind of a grinded out affair, but they are the 7th seed. Bama's got a high flying offense, but Wisconsin had a high flying offense, and BYU handled that. So I'd say right now, give me Bama, because we want Bama. But nonetheless, I really did watch a really, really fun thing. Shorts all year. It's a good question. Can Baker play in the next game? I think so. I don't know. It's one of those things. Mike Chase, Jake, you going to the BYU cruise? I will not be there. I'm actually headed to Arizona that week. Daughter's got a cheer competition. My parents will be there. So if you look for a guy kind of looks like me, more distinguished and older, it's my dad. Go say hi to him. He'll be on that cruise. If you're out there, if you're going on the BYU cruise. Okay. So for us boobs, explain the 5 versus 8. It's essentially you're playing the 5 Wisconsin players plus the 3 referees are trying to steal the game from you. So that's the term 5 versus 8. It was pretty crazy. So crazy stuff, and a big win for BYU all the same. So go crazy, have some fun. I'm sure BYU will be revealing when the team will be landing at the Provo airport, maybe late tonight, early tomorrow, whenever it is. I'm sure there will be hundreds, if not thousands of Cougar fans flooding Provo to watch that. But I really do think this is a historic moment that we should all not let it pass us by. Because this team, yet again, they turned the Jets on in the final month of this season. 2 months ago, they were a borderline tournament team, and they have proven now that they're one of the 16 best teams in the country right now. That is absolutely awesome. Econ with Adam looking ahead, which you think BYU matches up better? I would say Alabama. I know that's crazy to say, but I just think the nature of the way Alabama plays, I would rather have Bama, but I'm crazy in saying that. Cannon Fox, Jaeger was elite, 8-to-1 turnover ratio, 8 assists to 1 turnover. Yeah. Jaeger, by the way, I think it was Dan Jimenez from Chatbot who tweeted at me during the game. Tournament Jaeger, that's the term he used, is a real thing. And it's right. Jaeger ended up having, let's check here, 11 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, a near triple double for an 18-year-old freshman. I know that we want him to come back next year. Obviously, NIL will play a role in that. But the way he's playing right now, I'm hard pressed to say that he's not going to come back, because it just doesn't feel like the NBA is going to look at that and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should be drafting him in the top 10 after all. So crazy stuff. Huge win for BYU. But the nice part is they overcame all of it. Crazy calls, bad calls, everything that went against BYU, a crazy final stanza with Wisconsin making a push. Awesome win for BYU. So I'm going to sign off now. Fun stuff. Thank you to all of you. We got thousands of comments in here. Gordon Gates, you think Mawit Mag is NBA talent? I think he has a chance with the G League to work into the NBA, but we'll see what happens. Better tater tots than a burrito, Troy. Okay, I'm going to say that for Troy. If you know, you know. All right, tots rock. Hopefully some of you got your or Ida tots. I did not, obviously, because I'm sitting here talking to y'all on the internet, but nonetheless, huge win for BYU. And now we look forward to seeing who BYU will play in the Sweet 16. We'll have plenty of coverage for you guys coming up on our next editions of Locked On Cougars. Sweet 16 bound, everybody. Let's have some fun. So thank you as always for all y'all support. Thank you for being a part of this. I think we peaked out at almost 1,300 viewers, by far the highest live stream we have ever had in the history of this podcast. We haven't been doing them all that long, but at the same time, thank you so much for all the support, and we'll be back with you guys again soon right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.